Hello. Welcome. Welcome to Essential Living with Pilar. If you've never have tuned in to Essential Living with Pilar, this is a show about all things holistic, all things that are inviting toward harmony with all life, protection of the planet, protection of all life on the planet. Just a reverence for life in general, the laws of life as far as from a spiritual perspective. And that's not to mean religious, it's just to have that consciousness of spirit, mind, body, and spirit, that all are connected. We are all spiritual vibrational beings, and we just happen to be having this experience in this physical body. So essential living is just bringing everything back to that core of basics that keep us in harmony with life, with ourselves, with others, with animal life, with plant life, anything and all things, including the atmosphere, even particles. What seems to be empty space isn't an empty space. So anyway, I digress. It's just a general way of life or lifestyle that is helping us to create the life that we want in harmony with other life, supporting other life, respecting it, and using the natural waves and forces of nature, going with those cycles to make our lives more productive and really create the lives that we want, including having well-being, a connection with our wiser, higher self, and therefore creating that solid, strong foundation of well-being. We can bring that forth into our daily lives and radiate it forth onto our home, our families, our friends, our communities, city, state, country, and the planet ideally, so we can make a big difference and really realize our dreams. As long as we know how things work, then we can use our energies and our lives more productively. So, being that we are in the midst of spring, I thought, well, everybody is now probably seeing progress within their gardens, and some might even be bearing fruit or a vegetable, whatever it is that you may be growing. So I thought that we could touch upon the metaphorical aspect of a tree. Most cultures have a version of what is called the tree of life. Yes, there is a different interpretation of it, but not so different. Pretty much the differences are pretty slight. So I was just going to go over with you, just kind of getting you to realize how connected we are to everything, including plant life, and how much of correspondence we have with what plant life has to teach us, and what nature, the cycles of nature, how similar, how we are really naturally in sync with those cycles of growth, both of the ebb and flow of the seasons, and how plant life goes dormant and regenerates, and it's all the same, because one thing I like to say, all things are one. So we can always use nature as our great teacher, and gardens are really a magnificent way to develop a personal discipline, and to cultivate a garden kind of gives us the same perspective as how it is to cultivate anything that we want to create in general, whatever it is, be it a piece of art, a project, anything. So I am not an artist, but I did try to make a very crude attempt to drawing a tree of life. And I'll show you where I got it from. It is this little picture here. This is one of my favorite books. You don't have to, you obviously can't see it very well, but this is like the depiction of the tree of life. And basically, as you see here, here's the level of the earth, the roots that go underneath the soil, and then the trunk and the branches that are visible above ground. And there is this one particular book, this one particular picture is from this one particular book. And it's not a common, very well-known book, but it's one of my favorite little go-to books. It's called From Enoch to the Dead Sea Scrolls. And it really shows, or really it is about the way of life that this one sect called the Essenes used to live by. And they were one of the most spiritually connected and productive tribes, if you want to call it that, in olden days. And they are the tribe from which Yeshua ben Joseph, aka Jesus Christ, hailed from. He was part of this particular sect in what was then known as Nazareth, but there are all sorts of connotations about that and historical fascinating, interesting aspects of that. But the point is the tree of life, and they have a really good depiction, and they had a really good practice to be in that flow. So this might be something that you want to take on, because it's a very practical way to create your own meditative practices. If you are aware of that connection and what it is that you're connecting with at each time and each day. They had the 7 days of the week, and they had a corresponding branch for morning and night for each of those days of the week. So in the morning time, they would focus and meditate on the forces of Mother Earth, so the feminine aspect. So the branches and limbs that go underneath the ground. And the start of the day began with a connection and gratitude and reverence for that earthly material aspect of us, which is our physical body, because that was the beginning of the day. So you needed your strength, energy, and vitality to go through the day without, with all your activities that require that life and vigor and physical activity. So I'll show you a little book again, because my drawing is awful, but maybe later we'll look at it for more detail. So here are the branches that go underneath the soil. And you can't see it, but in the middle here, in between, beneath the soil and above the soil surface, is a picture of a person. So that person will be sitting in the middle, or is depicted sitting in the middle, because in the bottom of our bodies, from here down, are where our physical strength comes from. So our limbs, all our digestive organs, all the aspects that pertain to survival as a physical being in day-to-day life. Above the ground, then would be the connections with the cosmos, which what was called the Heavenly Father. So it was the earthly mother and the Heavenly Father above ground, because that would be the mantle of the sky with the planets and the stars, and that cosmic mantle that would then, in the evening, have its corresponding meditation, depending on the day, to connect with those cosmic forces, the more spiritual aspect of us, and those would be practiced before going to sleep at the end of the day. So I thought that was a nice thing that I wanted to share, because that's a practice that I'm endeavoring to make a habit of myself. So as usual too, for those that have watched this show before, I like to share with everybody what I'm working on myself. And that way, I know that somewhere someone is doing it too. So here, I'm going to read them. Here they are. In the mornings, you will have one branch. So one day you could start, the week began for them from Friday to Thursday. So from Friday night would be the first communion or meditation, as it were. And then you go Saturday morning and so on and so on and so on. And then the last day would be Friday morning. Friday morning would be the end of the week, and Friday evening would be the beginning of the other. So in the morning, you can make it in your own calendar. So you want to put each day of the week, you will start one meditation in the morning, will be focused on harmony, the feeling of harmony with yourself, your environment, your life, your work, your family, your social circles, the world you have influence over. But it would be something that would be absorbed into what you would interpret as your physical harmony. So managing that strength in your physical body, making sure you have the right nourishment, that all belongs to the underneath part, the lower limbs that go under the ground, because those are your nurturing of your physicality. Another morning, you would focus on the energy of trees, because that is believed to give you vitality. Those branches that go rooted underneath the soil are what absorb the nutrients that allow for the tree to grow. And that is goes for your physical body or anything that you're cultivating. It would also help grow those I'm tongue-tied. That nourishment underneath the ground, with what you're focusing within, that is going to nurture your physical body, it's going to have to do with your diet, how you, here we go. The food you eat, how you obtain that food. Do you obtain it with gratitude and harmony? Is it the food that is going to really nourish you, to give you the strength and vitality you need to perform your duties, your daily tasks, all your physical obligations, and also your creations? Is what's underneath nourishing you going to be good enough to produce the product that you're looking to obtain? Another one of the lower branches, absorbing those nutrients are going to help that tree to grow and be able to utilize the air once it goes above ground. Another branch would focus on the bodies of water of the earth that are nurturing that soil. We're mostly water, so we need the water, the sun, the air, the earthly nutrients, and all of those in harmony and balance in order for this magnificent tree to be able to thrive. The little person depicted in the middle, that's just a symbol of us. If you think about, taking care of your physical body, it gives you that strength to do what you want to do out in the world. If you are sick, if you don't have that vitality, then you're not going to have the energy you need to do whatever you want in life and produce what you want. So these were all the morning ones. Then in the evening, they would go on to a more meditative, more contemplative aspect in their meditation. So before sleep, you want to focus more within. You're letting go of the day. You're letting go of the physical activity of daily living, and you're going to be wanting to connect with your higher power, your higher self, whatever that spiritual connection means to you. That is reserved for the time before you go to sleep at night, so you can then fall into a more restful sleep, go into your dream state, and that is the perfect time if all the day activities are imbalanced, and then refocused on your more emotional or mental or going within aspect before sleep. You're going to get a more restful sleep. And sleep is a good time to regenerate the body, to cleanse the body. But if the body is already in good health, the body doesn't have to work so much at regenerating and cleansing itself. You can have more opportunity for wisdom to come through your dream state. So these were known as the cosmic forces. So they specifically went into meditations that connected with the stars, the planets, thoughts that were more lofty, more mental aspirations of new creations. They called them superior thoughts and superior feelings, not because they were better than anybody else. They're just more elevated and more of an elevated consciousness. Let me see what else have I got here before I forget. Like I said, I'm trying to remember these myself. They also included meditation with the moon, because that is what is in the sky in the evening. So they just really honored all those cosmic forces of planetary wisdom, that space beyond the mundane. And that is the aspect of the evening meditations, is to reach for that higher cosmic force, that cosmic ocean of wisdom, and connecting with other higher beings that are occupying the galaxy. We're not the only ones here. For those that subscribe to that worldview, you already know that. But I think, for those who don't, I would consider exploring that possibility in your meditations or in your explorations, in your studies, because we're just a very small little planet in the galaxy, and we're actually the ones that are a little bit messier. So I just thought that was something to share, to kind of bring to your awareness when you go through your endeavors in nature, if you go away on vacation, if you go camping, if you go just being among the trees, and just know that they are such a reflection of us. We just have a different consciousness, but the tree is the perfect example of our human body metaphor, and as human beings, because we do need that grounding in order to be able to use our creativity and make the most out of our talents and our gifts, but it has to be in balance. Oftentimes that's not the case. Most people in humanity are either living below the belt, as it were, which means they're just focused on competition, on survival, on kind of that dog-eat-dog mentality, fearful, worried about being preyed upon. And that is, I think, one of the main diseases of humanity on the planet, is that feeling of fight or flight constantly, always, which is unfortunately perpetuated by media. So if you focus your attention on that, then you're likely to be depleting your body and your soul of really the true nature that is the connection with nature, and knowing that we live in an infinite world. So we are creators, and we have the ability to create what we want without taking anything away from anybody else. And there's infinite possibility, but there has to be that balance. The Native American cultures also live this way, with this type of philosophy. It was really Mother Earth and Father Sky, the sun and the moon, the feminine and the masculine. But in the perspective of Mother Earth and Father Sky, as it were, Mother Earth is your nurturing mother, literally, the one that nurtures your physicality, where the cosmos and the sky, all the planets, the stars, the constellations, are really the higher cosmic intelligence, the source that gives us life here on the planet. the source from where we all come from, while we are here having this trip here on planet Earth. But it is about being in balance, and you can really see and understand that, and how that applies to us in our personal lives when you really go cultivate a plant in your garden, preferably a tree. Because another nice comparison or analogy that I read in a book as well was that whenever you are feeling lost or scattered, or I don't mean lost physically, location-wise, I mean lacking direction, that you can't get settled down, when you just need some stability from the chaos that may be happening in your world or in your life at the moment for whatever reason. One of the most supportive things that you can do is go find yourself a tree and sit and lean your back against it, lean your spinal cord against that tree trunk, and just be with that for a while. Let yourself sit there in silence and connect with that energy, because that is going to be very helpful. Just to get yourself literally grounded to that energy will clear up, it will dissipate the confusion and the chaos, and it'll allow yourself to settle down enough and get grounded enough and balanced enough so you can access the wisdom and the clarity that you need mentally and emotionally. And in your heart, you can connect to that heart. As we see from here, from the lower chakras down, lower energy centers is really more physical survival. And from the higher centers is your spiritual and mental attributes and gifts and abilities that if we get caught up in the mundane, we rarely give ourselves a chance to access. But it's important to have both, because you can't have one without the other, as evidenced in a tree. You do need both. You need the earth, you need the soil for that support and nourishment, and then you can flourish out and bear your flowers and your fruit, and then everybody can partake of your genius. So I would encourage you now, during this time of year, when all the plant life is so vibrant and alive, and everybody has the opportunity to be outdoors and enjoying all the beautiful nature that we are so fortunate to have around us, I would definitely encourage you to please take the time and be quiet in that cathedral of nature. Approach it with respect and reverence. It's not there for us to take for granted. It is there for us to learn a lot from, to enjoy its company, but to respect it, to care for it, to nurture it, to say thank you for it, because it's our great teacher. We cannot live without it. And the most important, I think, is to honor it, to connect with it, because I think you would be surprised how opening, how clarifying, and how inspiring that would be for you right now, this year, this month, this time of year, so you can get on with your personal development, your evolution as a human being, as a spirit, having a physical experience on this earth time that is so really fleeting. So as difficult or challenging as it may seem to be, I think a lot of it is because we focus on things that are not important, and we lend our attention to things that are not important. So reconnecting with the earth and with the planet and with the beautiful blanket of the night sky or the day sky is really going back to basics. So I would encourage your tree of life. Make yourself a little drawing rudimentary as that may be for yourself, and put it where you can see it all the time. Maybe take a picture of it so you have it in your phone as your wallpaper, anything to remind you, and take the time every morning before you get on to your daily activities, and every evening before you lay down to sleep, to take the time and meditate upon these forces. In the morning, connect with the earth, say thank you for your physical body and for all the nurturing substances that you have available to it to give you strength and health to function and do what you have to do. And at the end of your day, just be quiet and get grounded and let go of the activity part and just go into your soul spirit. Go look at the sky, maybe go outside and just connect with those stars to elevate your consciousness above the mundane of daily life. That way you can go into the zone of sleep with clarity, and you'd be surprised how many answers you can get for questions that are pressing for you when you go to sleep with that clarity. So that said, that's it for the Tree of Life. But yeah, embrace it and bring it into your awareness daily and see what that does for you. If you have any comments that you want to share, you can always send me an email at essentiallivingwithpilar@gmail.com. I'd love to hear a comment or anything, any feedback you may have had from trying this experience. And know that this planet is precious and we are the stewards of the planet. So let's make more of that happen as we get more aware of why we're here and how we are connected to all of nature. That said, have a beautiful month. I will see you next time, and thank you for watching, and thank you for our wonderful family here at Thurston County Media for making this possible every month. So just have gratitude for life. Connect with nature and remember that you are part of it. So take care of it so it can take care of you. And with that said, I will see you next time.